Martin Popoff here, back again for another edition of Reliving Old Reviews as a Useless Tool of Confusion. This is where we check out an old review and see if the writer got it right. You know, these things we've talked about many times over the years kind of thing. We are going to be looking at the Damned's debut album, Damned. You know, I've said it a million times. I wrote this book that is my favorite book of all the books I've ever done. It's a analysis of every single Damned song they ever did, all the B-sides, all that stuff. You can get this at martinpopoff.com. Sadly, as I'm doing this, it's not been a whole week that we've lost Brian James. You can check out our tribute to Brian James that we did on the Contrarians as well, or that I did few days ago, not many days ago at all. So yeah, it's a little bittersweet that we're looking at a review of Damned, which was Brian's debut. He was there for 2 Damned albums. Of course, he went on to Lords of the New Church. He's got some amazing solo stuff as well. And he toured with the Damned recently again, right? But we lost him at the age of 70 years old recently. So this is from the Melody Maker, February 19th, 1977. So this is Punk's first year, the very beginning of Punk's first year. And we get, so this is what it looks like. The review looks like. We've got Damned with Faint Praise. We get a picture of the band. We get a little caption there on the back. We got a Streetwalkers ad. There you go. Okay, so ants, bloody ants everywhere. Kill them, crush them with who wrote this, by the way? Let's see. CW. So this is probably Chris Welch, right? Wrote this review, I imagine, hopefully. But yeah, just says CW. It's a fairly long review. Ants, bloody ants everywhere. Kill them, crush them with one prod of the forefinger. Mash the insect world and show them who is the overlord of all God's species. It so happens that just as I sit down to ponder over this new album, my desk, typewriter, hands, hair, and face are suddenly covered in ants. A great plague of them marches through the reviewing cells, and such is their insidious effect. We bipeds are filled with instinctive loathing, hatred, and blind, incoherent rage. So the music of the Damned sounds a sweet symphony of power and superiority to my ears. As they bellow, stamp, and shout, I echo their clarion call for violence. Stab your back, fumes lead singer David Vanian. And to that, I would add, put down poison. The new wave of groups are impatient, filled with energy, and perhaps would like to sweep all before them, rather like the man in Jean-Paul Sartre's Road to Freedom, who chuckles from his apartment window and whispers encouragement to the Nazi hordes as they invade his country. If the Damned can help free us of ants, which I suspect are even now penetrating my shirt, then bon chance and Sieg Heil. Actually, I don't believe all this fascist stuff, but we do need the occasional Dorian bellow, the coarse cry of the free thinker that cuts across cucumbered politeness of the drawing room of rhythm. The Damned are hard at work making positive noises in an ant heap that at times threatens to engulf us. They have courage and power, and such a combination is always attractive. The imp of perversity resides in us all, and I remember the occasion when I interviewed a singularly gifted classical violinist who claimed that he had studied for some 14 years and that his violin was a priceless example of the craftsmanship of Grabini. Oh yes, I rejoined. What of it? Admittedly not such a hammer blow against convention as evinced by the punk rock bands, but it was no small contribution. I have heard it said once or twice that punk rock bands cannot play. Rot. There's more. But yeah, excellent writing here. Very cool. It's a good review. I like the way he's weaving in the ant invasion of the offices with the music of the Damned. That's pretty cool. These boys have got all the residual skills needed for the actual performance of exhausting modern music. It's not easy hammering the drums at 16 beats to the bar, but old Rat Scabies brings instant percussive violence to such driving items as neat. Listen to the howling guitars and blazing vehemence of Fan Club, which follows with equal ferocity. And I haven't heard such effective powerhouse guitar from Brian James in brackets, since Pete Townsend first thrust his guitar through the roof of the Jive Cellar, Shepherd's Bush. This is actually a highly professional production and is much more convincing than some other new wave bands I've heard on record. I don't think the production's all that particularly great on this. It's produced by Nick Lowe. I like the production of Nick Mason more on Music for Pleasure. I mean, that's sacrilege, but But yeah, he gets it right on Brian James. It is a very violent, cool, astringent, wiry sort of sound that Brian gets on this album. This is a chaotic album. It's a very heavy album for punk in 1977. I remember my original copy was an import, as was for most of these records. And we for quite a while it was one of the very, very top ones because it actually was quite heavy, right? And is quite heavy. I Fall roars ahead with irresistible exuberance and screeches to a halt, only to make way for the even more exciting Born to Kill. The bass drum pounds with ankle-breaking force, and Rat must have walked about with the aid of crutches after this session. Vanian's vocals almost lose significance over the attack generated by the drums, Rayburn's bass guitar, and Brian's leads. He mutters as if at some distance from proceedings, chanting Born to Kill like a compare, encouraging a band about to explode with their own pain. The swoop around the drums, which introduces Stab Your Back, a brief vignette of Lord Suchian violence, is most dramatic. Yeah. Excellent writing, like I say. Great kind of references here. I like how he calls Captain Rayburns. But yeah, and he's really getting it right. And again, there's just the spirit of how uncommon this kind of music sounds, and he's articulating it very well, right? The mad pace continues well into the second side after a brief respite with Feel the Pain, which maybe isn't quite as painful as Frank Zappa's The Torture Never Stops. New Rose, Fish, the battering attack never lets up, and the wreckage piles up in the studio as tea ladies are dragged around by the hair. Engineers are spattered with eggs, and passers-by dodge speaker cabinets hurled out of the window. During See Her Tonight, incendiary devices and detonators explode in the gents, and So Messed Up, and I Feel All Right conclude a dynamic clatter that will encourage even the casual listener to minor acts of demolition. Bravo, CW. Very cool. Nice review there. Yeah, great album. And let us know what you think of this. I think CW, Chris Welch, I suppose, got it right. And yeah, what a great album. And so go play this album, and also take some time to mourn the death of Brian James. This has been the Contrarians. Reliving old reviews is a useless tool of confusion. Hit like if you like my review of this review or CW's review in itself. And you can join our Patreon situation, and that gets you on, the possibility to go on some panels. Marco sends out all the, the list of topics, and we've had some great panel shows on the Contrarians with all of you. So there you go. Go listen to The Damned, and go think about Brian James.